Hi, it's Amanda, Creative Gardener. Welcome to my creative paradise. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to show you how to propagate broadleaf thyme. We're going to look at the flowers, we're going to look at the seeds, we're going to take some cuttings. We're going to show you the best way that I found to propagate. So, let's get going. Okay, so I wanted to show you the spot that I used to grow broadleaf thyme, and I'll leave a link to some of the videos and you'll be able to see how this area was just swamped and now there's none. And what I did is, it's very dry here at the moment, what I did was I've moved all of the broadleaf thyme that was along here, as you can see, and I've kind of dashed them literally into the corners. Now they were doing a lot better again because we're going into the rainy season, and so we're going to get a lot more rain, and so this will all bush up and flourish. And the other thing that I did along the back of the garden and along the sides, I started putting the broadleaf thyme, and I found that wherever they've gone, they've just grown. Oh look, I've got a neem plant growing there. I don't want to move it because I haven't had success in terms of moving the neem. So as you can see, there's lots of other work going on, but I've put broadleaf thyme along here because it grows fairly quickly. If it's, you know, again, depending on the kind of weather that you have, but it grows very quickly, and it should, once it starts raining again, all of this area will be covered with broadleaf thyme, and I just really need to maintain it. So I'm looking to see if any, I've probably cut back a lot that's kind of grown taller. So like, say for instance these, so these ones were kind of growing up. This is the fence that's not the fence, but my makeshift Mexican sunflower hedge that separates us from the gardener back there. Okay, so let us go to the other area that I created a hedge with the broadleaf thyme. So we're going to go along here. So if you look at along some areas along here, I've tried to use it as a filler because, again, where I didn't have hedge, I was trying to, you know, kind of quickly get some hedge going. But this is where all of the broadleaf thyme that I had, this is where I moved it. I just layered it along this length here because this was all open, and I wanted to just provide a kind of makeshift hedge. And it's, look at this one. You're not supposed to be out here. Anyway, so it's growing, and again, when it starts to rain again, look, we've got some tiny ones growing here. Yeah, and then all the flower heads. So I'm going to take a couple of these. Come. And this one. And then we're going to go and find some shade. And I've got some others that I'm going to take cuttings from. Okay, we'll just take that one as well. All right, so let's go and I'll show you how I would normally propagate the broadleaf thyme. All right, so here is the broadleaf thyme. I've just broken off. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I've just broken off a piece and I've got it with its roots. I just put it here. It's nice and shady here, so thought we'd talk here. Anyway, so broadleaf thyme is so easy to grow. I'll show you what looks like the seeds, but the seeds are so tiny. It's just like, it's just been so windy that it's been blown away. So I hope that you can see these little things here. So these are just what the seeds are contained in. So inside there is a small little seed, and it comes from the flower heads. I picked off a few flower heads, sorry about that, here. So here is the flower. It's very pretty. It looks like a little scoop. So if you can imagine, so these are just coming towards the end. So this I was just thinking, is it? Yeah, it is. Anyway, so it's usually filled with these little tiny flowers you can see along here. Then it dries off, and then what's left are these little pockets filled with the seeds. And so I have never grown this from seed. I've just grown it from cutting, and I've always had success with it growing from a cutting. I find that the broadleaf thyme is quite an invasive plant, and depending on how much of it you want, you have to keep a check of it, because it will just literally go wild. And I've shared that in some videos where I've just been overwhelmed. I think I planted my first one when it was in the rainy season, and so it loved the water, it loved the sun, and it was just like they were growing to about 5 feet tall if you stood them up, because then they're like they creep basically. But where it was starting to get really bushy, it was if I held one of the stems up, it would have been about 5 foot. It was just like, oh my gosh, I can't cope. Anyway, so that's the flowers, and the seeds, for me it's just not worth growing it from seed, because of the time that it would probably take, and I just don't have the patience for this. When I needed it, I needed this initially because it was a fast growing plant, and I wanted to use it as cover, and so that's what I did. So whilst the stems look quite firm, they easily break, and so you can take a cutting quite easily, like that. And you can also, so let's see the root system. It doesn't have a very deep root system. It's got a shallow root system. Whilst these look quite thick, this particular one, it's not where it's growing. It literally, all I did was dash them where I wanted them to grow, and they grew. I just dashed them on top of one another, and that's one of the things you can do. So one of the ways of planting your broadleaf thyme is to dash it where you want it. Yeah, if you've got loads of it and you just you want it to grow. I mean, obviously you can. I'm gonna have issues with these now growing seeds. Anyway, but it's very easy. If you find that it's growing somewhere where you don't want to grow, where you don't want it to grow, you can just pull it up. And here's one again. Here's one here that was growing in a really in this basically. I had pruned back and I just laid them in here, and they started to grow, and it's become dry. So they're when it gets really dry, the broadleaf thyme does kind of suffer, and the leaves are not as thick. These are quite small, they're wilting. I mean, this has been in here without water for quite a while, and I have watered some of it. I've watered it occasionally, but again, I was just like, I don't care about it. I'll just put them in here, and that's what I did, and they grew. Okay, so I thought what I'd do with this is just neaten it up a bit, and I'm literally just going to cut them back and put the remainder, the ones that I've cut, back in here, and then I'll water it and see how it gets on. So they've grown like this because they got dried out basically, but they then just kind of conserve themselves and go into ultra slow mode, and it is literally just, it's a little saucer for plant. You can see I'm just literally piling them on, piling the sticks. this one. There. Literally. And this is just going to grow back. I'm just going to cut this a bit lower there. Put that there. Cut that again. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to put a bit of water in there, and then I'm going to leave it. The other thing they would probably have issue with is drainage. As I said, this is just a saucer, so if it does rain, there's no way for the water to escape. So again, if you're, you know, because I'm not fussed about this, I just really want them to grow, and they're in an area under the tree, so they're not going to get that much water now. And now I've cut it, it's just going to look a bit better. So yeah, be wary of where you allow them to drop, because they will put down roots. Okay, so I hope that's been useful. Anyway, so as I say, you can easily cut it. You don't need shears to cut it. You know, they break relatively easy. And as you can see, these ones are a lot more healthier, and the leaves are a lot bigger. So I wanted to show you another way that you can plant them. So a couple of ways that you can plant them. So as I said, you can plant the seeds in the ground if you've got time, but I just recommend, you know, getting a cutting from a friend. If you've got a friend who's got broadleaf thyme, it grows really quickly. So get a cutting, and what you would do is where you see, so you wouldn't put this end like that into the ground. Obviously you wouldn't get the result that you want. So what you would do is make sure you've got a node. Is it a node? A bit here, and what you would be doing is planting this bit here into the ground. Yeah, and then that's it. That's one way. The other way that I found, and that's probably why when I say I've dashed it in place, why it's grown. So what you'll also find is, I think you'll find it more on these larger pieces. I'm looking to see if, right, okay, so it's usually by a joint, but if you look here, it's kind of like a bit bumpy. There's a couple of bumps, and what they are like little roots that want to come out, and wherever they touch the ground, they will send out roots. So it is a creeping plant. It loves to, it will set root anywhere, and that's why where I've planted it, let me show you another place. I was just like, I just want cover up. So if you can see under the stairs, can you see that? Oh yeah, right, good. So there, what I did was I was trying to move a lot of the broadleaf thyme, and there it was just mud, and the dog kept running there and running out and running, trying to dig. So I just put a pile over there, and I didn't dig them in. I didn't, you know, dig them in a hole or anything. I just literally laid them where I wanted them, and then they grew. And I've cut back once already and moved some out to the front, and I'm going to have to cut back again because I'm trying to grow them by the fence, just like along these areas here. I had to put these boards here because it was either a dog, I don't know what it was, crawling under here and coming into the garden. Anyway, let's get back to here. So yeah, literally it's, you can grow by seeds, but it is probably better to get a cutting. Now obviously if you don't have any friends who can give you, you know, a cutting, then you know, you might have to either buy the seeds or buy a plant in the mail. See here again, you've got it. It's quite clear. So that, you see those two little. See, those will form into roots, and if I was to lay that on the ground, then they're just going to grow. And you know, and so if you are going to go the layering method, or the dash method, then what I recommend is that you lay, you know, you have to lay a few on top of one another like that. I would just do that. And usually where I'm planting it, it's like I'm not in any rush for them to grow. You know, it's just like it doesn't have to look neat and tidy, but I just layer it down like that. And so some are going to die out, but it's going to then provide nutrients for the other plants to grow. And where I showed you earlier, where you saw those little type, where I've got the hedge type broadleaf thyme going on, and you saw the little tiny ones, they're literally, as I've laid them down, they've started to grow, and they literally grow out of the stem because it starts to set down roots. So I hope that was useful if you're interested in growing your own. I realised in the videos I've done before, I've just kind of shown you, look at this, oh my gosh, overwhelm, oh no, broadleaf thyme. So I thought I'd just put this quick video together so that you can see the different ways that you can plant it. So again, remember, if you wanted to, you know, take a cutting, you literally take the cutting and find out where there is a joint on here, and just plant it wherever you want it to plant. If this is your first time, it's probably better to do it that way. Or like if you get like a leaf, like a stem like this, what you want to do is make sure, again, like you take these leaves off and put this in the ground, or say here, but you're not going to get anything from this end here. Again, if you lay it down like this, you're going to be successful. So try it out, let me see how you get on. Again, the colder climates, we're in the tropics here, so I know that with, you know, the weather, the changes in the weather, or the extreme heat, they don't die out, but they, you know, conserve themselves quite a bit. And you can see in here it's still growing, but they're literally, it's very compact, and they're only sending out smaller leaves. If they had room, they would send out a lot larger leaves like this. So where under the stairs, they've got unlimited amount of space to grow. And let's kind of compare the size. So you see the difference in size. Where this is compact, you'll get a smaller leaf. So also think about that where, you know, you decide to plant it. If you want to keep it compact and you don't want it, like, you know, grown so that it overwhelms you, then you might want to put it in a container, in a pot. If you put it directly into the ground, then you are going to get bigger leaves, but then you're also going to get a lot more spread, and then you'll have more broadleaf thyme than you know what to do with. And the thing for me is that I hate throwing things away, so I'm trying to find other uses. I use it every day in tea. It's very good. It's got linalool, it's got citronal. Anyway, it's got like antibacterial, antifungal properties. It's good for you know, if you get insect bite, I would just crush up the leaves, and you know, there's a lot of juice that comes from these, especially when they've got a lot of water, and they're, you know, I mean, they live in most any soils, you know, even on the slopes that I've got, you know, you've got very rocky lime based mixed with some soil. But they are still growing there. They just want water, So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and you'll be able to grow lots of broadleaf thyme yourself. So if I was to put this, I'm breaking this up now, I'm going to be putting it along here, maybe just in that corner, and see how it gets on, but I know it's definitely going to grow. Okay, so take care for now, and I will see you soon. Do leave a comment and subscribe if this is your first time. Take care for now.